And there we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Navis Nobilite. I am Captain Zelnick, and today we have a very special live stream for all of you. Today we are going to be doing an interview with Mark and Hasan. Mark is the runner of the London Grand Tournament, and I assume that Tanava Cluster Events is just your thing. Is that a
Yeah,
actual
that's my
title?
yeah, that's the name of my little events page, as it were. I tend to run things under that name. You can blame my very first campaign is we decided to give ourselves a name and we just called ourselves Haven't backwards.
Ah, I see. So where can people find you if they want to insult you or appreciate you?
Uh, Best thing to do is just search for Tanava Cluster Events on Facebook. That's where I run most of my stuff out from. I very limited on the social media side of things, so Facebook is where you'll find me.
Okay. And Hassan, you are otherwise known as West Virginia Nationalist, a man after my own heart, and you are the winner of the tournament.
Yep, uh, that's me. I've been to quite a few of Mark's events now and placed well at most of them.
So
Uh,
what you're telling me is that this nepotism? Did you win via because you knew the man?
no, I wish Mark gives me special treatment in the other direction. I don't get. I always ask Mark, tell me about the standings, and he tells me to buzz off. So,
Well done.
not quite.
All right. So, as everyone can see in the gallery that is currently playing, they did a great job of taking pictures of not only the players, but of all the ships. The ships look beautiful, by the way. And just so you know, if any of you I assume you run your events primarily in Britain. Is that fair to say, Mark?
Yeah. It's all over here on our tiny little island of a country because I can't afford to go anywhere else.
Which is a shame. We would love you to come to Adepticon. I'm going to start this interview with you, Mark, because you organized this event. You got it rolling. You got people to show up. You got prizes. You got an amazing looking trophy. How did you do it?
It is more or less exactly how I do any of my events, to be honest. I have a crazy idea and I just can't help but run with it. Uh, I've been to the London GT a few times, and I know they do a lot of. It's primarily will always be a 40k tournament. You can't do much about that. That's how it started for them. I know they do a lot of other side events, and I thought, you know what? I've done a few successful local events. Why not give it a go? See if they'll at least let me. So they were kind enough to give me a bit of space allocated specifically for the Battlefleet Gothic game, and all of the gigantic trophy that honestly weighed a ton was provided by them as well. They provided the space and the main trophy for the winner, and all of the other places got a nice fancy little medal as well, which I don't know if there's any decent pictures of, sadly.
What were the other winning positions?
So there was first, who went to Hasan, obviously. Second, that for some reason went to a Chaos Hulk of all things.
Insane.
There was sportsman, so favorite player, favorite fleet. So it's the Painting Awards, which was kindly sponsored by. The prize for that was sponsored by Admiral Terbidius as well. You, Zelnick, very kindly sponsored the first place prize, the amazing Tau fleet that we're seeing there.
Oh, the Tau fleet is going to be displayed when we go over the individual fleets, because at the end of this, I need to train Hasan how to play Tau, which he doesn't know how to play. But okay,
Yeah,
so
no clue.
so Mark, when I'm asking you, how did you set this up? Can you tell me about like the logistics of it? Like where did you do you obviously have mats? What are the mats made of? Where did you get the material? What are good ideas for people who are trying to start their own tournaments? Because despite popular belief, more tournaments are popping up for BFG. we're trying to get into Nova Open now. So, any advice that you can give to anybody who's trying to set up a BFG community or set a tournament up would be helpful.
Honestly, the first step for setting up anything like this is obviously to try and build the community first. At the end of the day, we are quite frankly a niche hobby within a niche hobby, the Battlefleet Gothic side of things. So having at least a core local group, and it doesn't have to be many of you, because it's, I think my first event that I did, I ran the rest of it just being the campaign players. There were 6 of us. I managed to find a couple extras, but we only had 4 tables. So it's starting small. Always just build the community first, and frankly, do not be scared to just go ahead and do it. When it comes to supplies, often it's, don't be put off by any of the big events that you see in other game systems and all that. The big fancy mats, the really fancy terrain. It's a lot of it is when you start out doing what you can easily provide. I got lucky with the space mats just because they're essentially wall tapestries that I found on Amazon. And when I can get one of them for 15, 16 quid instead of the 80 plus that it costs for one of the neoprene mats, I wasn't really going to argue at that point. And just finding the easier option has allowed me to build up to where I am now, and they've done me absolute wonders.
Okay, what about the things like the asteroid fields, the gas clouds, and things, and the planets? What are those made out of?
So I have my own particular stance on terrain for this game, in that I will always advocate for just flat terrain. In order to get me going and to get me to the point that I am, I made use of some files that I had for pickup games, where I'd print out a collection of 5x5 segments of asteroid fields and 2x5 segments of gas clouds. So the main thing I did was just scale them up to various different sizes and laminate them. I'll freely admit it's not the most high tech of solutions, but I will always advocate for 2D flat terrain in this game, just because I find 3D terrain, it's in the way of being able to navigate your ships properly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my own personal stance. I think it still looks relatively good on the table. There is some improvements I can still make, I freely admit that, and I'll look at that in the future. But a stance I always have as well for terrain is I like the terrain generation rules in this system, in Battlefleet Gothic, in the actual rulebook itself. So all of my tables, I did sit there and randomly generate a whole collection of different layouts, and I've just used them as part of my tournament pack. So each of my events, as long as I've got 6 tables, you'll find all 6 battlefield zones, because each of them have their own unique feel to them. But yeah, so all of my terrain is still primarily at this point still printed out on decent quality card and laminated and trimmed down as close as I can get it, just because I prefer the 2D view purely on a mechanical side of things.
Okay, and how would you describe London Grant, the actual the site, how the site treated you and helped you make this possible? What was communication like with the actual people who ran the London Grand Tournament?
But the most part, given the sheer size of the event that they're dealing with and the sheer number of different events going on, I was pretty happy with the communication level. I was kept up to date on ticket sales because they manage everything. All ticket sales are done through them. I did get regular updates of, right, here's the number of tickets you've sold, here's your players, and it was really useful in that one. On the days themselves, when you actually turn up, they're what fantastic people. It was fully laid out as just like you're going to be up here. Once that gets set up, you can go up. You can go up into your place, because we conveniently had the balcony, one of the balcony spots, because 40k took over the vast majority of the bottom floor space.
I do
All,
believe in
All of
that.
it, I think.
I think in
Yeah.
that particular scenario, a orbital bombardment would have been a much more real scenario then, wouldn't it? Just chuck a player off the table and see what it hits.
Probably
I wouldn't
take
want.
out a couple of tables. Ruin someone's game.
Yeah, as that entire floor space was for essentially the largest competitive 40k event, I wouldn't want to touch that lot with a barge pole. Having played
Fair.
having played in tables similar to that in previous years when I was actually there as a player, it gets very close and very loud down there.
I can
I was
imagine.
very glad to be up on the balcony.
Okay.
Probably a little smelly as well.
Well, we are all gamers, and we all have the natural aroma of the gamer. But I will ask, was there any like outreach between, say, the 40k tournaments to see if there was any kind of integration with results to affect their game, or was everything just very? Did they basically shove you into a corner, close the door, then pretend you didn't exist?
The organizers themselves are very much have the stance of each event is its own thing. So they're there. They primarily organise the 40k tournament and ensure that there is space for everyone else. And if you want to go there and run something, if it's something that they would like run there, or there's some, or they definitely have space for it, they'll just like, right, cool. We'll set you up for tickets. We'll give you your space. That's it. You're organising that. The space is yours to do with what you wish.
Okay. And my final question for you, I promise, because I know that I'm just throwing things at you at this point, is what kind of interest did you get from like the casual passerby? Did 40k players come up and have a look and go, "Hey, that's cool," or did they basically treat you like the ostracized children that we've always been for the last, 15 odd years?
Is it a bit of column A, a bit of column B? We did have the advantage because the main 40k event was all downstairs. We were surrounded by Bolt Action on one side, 40k Narrative, Heresy, and AOS on the other. So, because especially as in order to get to their tables, all the Bolt Action players had to walk straight past us. It's a game that definitely draws the eye, especially with the space mats. It's nice and bright. It's spaceships everywhere. It draws the eye and does get some attention. Anyone that was up on the balcony and wandering past would stop and watch the games. If I was nearby, then I would try and have a chat with them. So there was definitely interest there. 40k players, for the most part, would play all their games, then go outside and have food, and come back and play more of their own games. Competitive 40k tends to stick to themselves down at the bottom.
Well, when in doubt, always proselytize to the other poor people that have been sent out into the proverbial wasteland of the specialist game. All right, so now I want to go and talk a little bit about the fleets themselves. And you had 10 competitors, correct? With one ringer, or was it 9 competitors and a 10th ringer?
11.
You had 11
11 with a 12th ringer.
11 with the 12th ringers. That's a pretty sizable fleet. Pretty sizable tournament. That's actually pretty amazing. This is your first London Grand Tournament, correct?
Yeah, it's my first one at London, so I was quite happy with the numbers that we got. It was originally going to be 14, but I did have a couple unfortunate dropouts on the week beforehand, and then the last person dropped out the night beforehand, which is where I had to step in.
Oh. I mean, ultimately, that happens, but I will say that you've done amazingly well because after many, 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 many years, Adepticon has 18 people. Now we're growing again, thank goodness, because we've decided to come in and, have some of the most amazing prizes we can. And prizes, as we will see, are one of the biggest attractors of people to come play the game. But I wanted to talk about the actual fleets. Now, according to you, the actual makeup of the fleets themselves were a pretty human-heavy time this year. So
Yeah, I was really surprised to see a single Xenos player play when some of my other events have at least had a few scattered around. Seeing just one was a bit of a shock.
So I
I was
have.
very surprised to only see one a Dark Eldar. Like,
Oh.
because usually you expect a couple of Eldar,
Yeah.
but there's none.
Yeah, this is actually a little bit of dark Hasan lore. His meta is mostly against Eldar. So
Ugh.
this must have been the very first time he's like, wait a minute, I'm fighting not ugly, horrible, evil Xenos. So
Oh yeah, I was punching the air.
So I have on the screen for people to look the gallery. It's basically the gallery that you presented to me of the ships, and I wanted to go over them and talk about the fleets that they had. Now I'm looking at, I think, Ben Camp's fleet, Imperial Navy. He rocked in with what appears to be, it looks like an Avenger and an Apocalypse, or is that a Exorcist? Because these are all 1,500 point fleets, just so everybody knows. But I see an Armageddon battle cruiser. I see a Grand Cruiser. I think that is I think that's an Exorcist. He has a light cruiser, looks like an Endeavor, 3 Falchions, and 2 strike cruisers?
Yeah, I played against Ben game 4,
And how?
it was a shooty. It was a shooty Grand Cruiser, an Apocalypse, and the rest, yeah, like you said.
Oh, shooty. So was it an Avenger?
I think so. Mark has the
So,
actual fleet somewhere.
yeah, I just loaded it up. So he had a Apocalypse as his battleship, an Exorcist with sharks.
So it was Exorcist. Okay.
An Armageddon with a Nova cannon, 2 strike cruisers, the Endeavor, and the 3 Falchions.
Okay, so that had to have been a challenge for you, Hasan, because that is a excellent anti-chaos list. 2 Nova cannons, lots of long-range lances. I mean, he didn't have a lot of launch capacity, which is a bit of a surprise, but still 2 strike cruisers. I mean, 3 Falchions. How did you beat him?
Well, so I end up playing a lot of Marine players. So my list was sort of built around, okay, in order to win, I need to kill a strike cruiser a turn, right? So I wasn't super worried about the strike cruisers. And when it came to what I was thinking, okay, what are the big threats? It was the 2 Nova cannons, because as obviously you know, and probably most of the people watching know, like usually as Chaos you have the range advantage, but this is the one game where I didn't. So I'm sure, like when we get around to discussing the games, you'll be able to show the pictures I sent. But if you compare the pictures in my game 4 versus like all my other games, you'll see my fleet is very spread out. So like if a Nova cannon does score a hit, it's not going to take out 2 ships, it'll take out 1. And I was kind of expecting, okay, I lose a couple ships on the way in, but then hopefully I can sort of outfight what's left.
So just for reference, we're not going to go into the minutiae of each individual battle this time. We're going to keep it somewhat abstract, because eventually you and I, for everyone who is watching and for those who listen, there will be a new series on this channel where I will take my tournament winning fleet and battle other tournament winners as well with their fleets to see which tournament winner is going to be the grandest tournament winner. So if anyone out there has won a Battlefleet Gothic tournament, come and let me know. I want to fight against your fleet. But regardless, so how accurate were his Nova cannons? Did he actually slap somebody around, or did he suffer from standard issue Nova cannon problems?
Thankfully, by the grace of the Chaos Gods, there were no direct hits. There was lots of sort of blast markers on shields and stuff, but I didn't take any, like, okay, this is D6 damage on a cruiser. Apart from one hit my battleship, it scattered a little bit, but still got the template on him. But it was like 3 hits, so it was able to tank it, thankfully.
Do you think that if he got that one lucky Nova cannon hit that would have crippled the ship, would that have turned the tide of the game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because my fleet was. I'm sort of talking myself up a little bit, but my fleet was very robust. So even if I lost a ship or 2 ships, I still have capacity elsewhere to sort of fight the fleet. Basically.
Okay. Well, you're the tournament winner. You're allowed to talk yourself up until you fight my fleet, and then we'll see just how good it actually is. All right. So we're gonna move on to the next one, if it will let me. Oh, that's my problem. There we go. Okay, we're moving now. We are on to Richard's fleet, not Space Marines. So I see here, it looks like 5 strike cruisers, a venerable battle barge in the form of a Styx, and a squadron of, looks like 3 Gladii and... Is that 3 Gladii? No, 4 Gladii and a couple of Novas? Not Novas, Hunters.
So this fleet is a bit of an amalgamation just because he borrowed a chunk of my stuff.
Ah, okay.
He wasn't able to get his fleet up together at the time, but I would rather people were playing than letting a ticket go to waste. So he did borrow a chunk of my stuff. So a lot of it is making do with what's available.
Perfectly fair.
So the escorts is a mix of 3 Novas, 2 Gladius, and 1 Hunter. So it's a proper melting pot of an escort squadron.
You know, and I could see it working. Okay, but it's still. What were those strike cruisers armed with? What variety of them were they?
3 launch and 2 bombards.
And what was his venerable battle barge?
That is a Styx, yeah.
Okay. Now, Hasan, did you get to fight him?
Yep. Richard was my game too. Great.
And how did that game go?
Oh, it was a pretty chill one for me, all things considered. Because with Marines against sort of my list, it's okay. It's how much damage can I do turn 1, and I think I was able to kill 1 strike cruiser and cripple another. So, like after that, it was just I was, just locked on and cruising forward. So, I was just able to whittle them away.
Okay.
Until I got around to the back and was able to start hammering the Styx, which is 5 up everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to the Styx, so this is another example of when I did my video about using venerable battle barges. I have to stress to you Space Marines players out there, they are a scam. Do not take them if you can avoid it. The Styx is the better of many options, but it is still, you are taking away most of the major benefits of what you're doing. I would have taken more escorts and another strike cruiser. But anyway, moving on to the next fleet, David Wilshaw and his Chaos. He's playing Space Marines. Because that looks like Chaos, because he has, 6 Chaos cruisers here. But I assume he's using those as strike cruisers then?
Yeah.
David.
I played David.
Could you do me a favor and tell David that his paint scheme is giving me a migraine?
I loved it. He was my best painted vote. I love that paint scheme.
Because he got the best painted award.
Fantastic! It reminds me of the Dazzle camouflage that they used during World War One. Okay, so what is this fleet that I'm looking at? Why does it have 6 Chaos cruisers in it?
Those were his stand-ins for. They were just normal strike cruisers because they are light cruiser hulls.
Gotcha. Okay.
They are the shorter hulls.
Okay, so that is a beefy fleet of 9 strike cruisers. Now, this strike cruiser fleet there have been the 9 strike cruiser fleet at Adepticon. It has done very, very well. I believe the Space Marine 9 strike cruiser fleet, or at least the equivalent for 1350, did win one year. So, how many varieties do we have here? Obviously, we have some bombardment cannon options in this mess.
It was.
If it looks like a Chaos cruiser, it's a carrier.
Okay, so 3 bombardments and then 6 carriers?
Yep.
Okay, so I can tell you that is a vicious fleet to fight, but let me guess, Hasan, he played right into your hands.
Yeah, this was, and it's sort of no sort of dig at David, but this was the easiest game of the lot. We decided it turn 2 when, I'm not sure if you have the pictures playing, but I killed 3 strike cruisers in turn 2. And after that, it was just...
We're focusing on the fleets, specifically the fleets for now. I'm not going to bring up those because ultimately, the nature of the story is just as good without the pictures. So this is a note for you Space Marine players out there. Much like the Eldar, your own hubris is your greatest weakness. Do not take your toughness as invincibility. Did they all have 2 shields,
Yeah.
Mark? Okay, they all had 2 shields. All right. So
In the game that Hasan had against this fleet, I will freely admit that the mission played somewhat into it purely because he didn't deploy quite well enough for the mission.
well, this is very important to everyone. Remember that the actual battle, begins in deployment. So remember that important point. All right, moving on to Michael and his Dark Eldar. Now these are pretty. I love these things. They look like a lot of. I don't know if these are 3D prints or kit bashes, but they look phenomenal. What are we looking at here, Mark?
So it is a mixture of some original stuff, but a lot of conversions out of like Drukari, Hellions, and jet bikes. So kind of standard fare for a Dark Elder fleet.
Nothing wrong with that. Those people who don't like the look of the Soulforge Studios Dark Eldar obviously go this route, and it looks just as good. Now, did you fight this man, Michael Hasan?
Yep. He was my game one. This is probably the game I was the most scared of, sort of going into it.
I don't blame you. How did it go?
I managed to pull a win. It was on the sort of scenario. There wasn't too much things getting killed. Like, I lost a cruiser, he lost a squadron of escorts, but it was sort of one on the sort of threat of the scenario.
Okay, so you got a scenario battle win as opposed to an actual crushing victory.
Yeah. Like, I scored about 1,000 points to his 200 something, but that's only because of the sort of maneuvering around the scenario, which sort of left me in control of all the objectives, basically.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because Dark Eldar, I would imagine that Dark Eldar would actually be very good against your fleet, because when we get to your fleet, you'll understand why, but it was a very lance-heavy fleet. I would imagine they would actually have done much better against you, given that lances are less effective. So just a reminder to all you would-be Drukari/Dark Eldar players out there, that fleet is positively vicious if used in the right hands. So please, recommended. Go play them. They're a lot of fun. All right. There's this guy named Hasan. He's not that interesting. Let's move. Okay, anyway. Hasan, here's your...
loser.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a winner. Hasan, so your fleet, 2 devastations. That looks like a 2 devastation carriers. You have a Desolator battleship. I see 2 Acherons.
Yep.
Is that a Hades or a murder? That's a murder. And a...
No, it's a pair of Carnages on the end there.
Okay, 2 Carnages. Okay. So what was your philosophy of battle when you came into this fleet? Because this is it's a very specialized fleet, is how I would suggest it.
Yeah, definitely. So I had sort of 2 thoughts as I was sort of building the fleet initially. Is 1, how the hell do I fight Eldar? And 2, how do I turn every scenario into a fleet engagement I can win? And I sort of came to this because it's like, well, I have like quite a few 60 centimeter batteries. Like, I have one on the battleship, and I have 60 centimeter batteries on the sort of Carnages, which can sort of reach out and sort of like harass Eldar and like take points off them. And for the rest, it was like, okay, how do I make sure I'm killing ships every turn? How do I make sure I'm doing damage every turn? And that came down to, okay, lots of sort of long range firepower, while presenting my sort of best side, which is a beam, because obviously lances don't care, but getting that negative shift for the beam is so important to keeping my ships alive. Like, I lost, I think, 3 cruisers the entire tournament because I was always giving everyone a beam, so they were losing dice.
Okay, so I want you to know that I really like the composition of this list. It's a very balanced list, but I will say I can see where its weaknesses lie. If any one of those squadrons of cruisers got knocked out, your fleet potentially would have folded like a pack of cards, like a bad hand of poker.
Yeah, I probably agree, because like even when they're braced, for example, that I lose a lot. But it was kind of balancing act I had to sort of play with, basically.
Yeah. No. I'm excited for our upcoming battle with my tournament list. I really want to see how well you do against the most, weirdly enough, the least common but most feared fleet in a tournament setting. So, nobody expects Necrons in a tournament setting. Okay, now we have Tobias and his Space Marines, and that looks like a Sedito Supreme. Is that a Sedito? Or is that just a normal battle barge?
That was a Sedito.
Okay. Now, Tobias, if you're watching this video, maximum kudos for being willing to take the Sedito. Max kudos. That is a hard ship to field. But that's 5 strike cruisers, and 6 escorts. Looks like Gladius Hunter, or just triple Gladius?
5 Gladius, 1 Hunter.
Okay. And did you fight him, Hasan?
No, I didn't.
So, Mark, did you see him fight?
No, because I unfortunately spent the vast majority of my time strapped to a different table.
Gotcha. Well, I will say this: Tobias came in 4th place, and Space Marine's getting 4th place. That's really good. And so great job, Tobias. Great paint scheme too. Very yellow. I'm sure many people appreciate that. I assume this is probably Imperial Fists, so well done. All right, we have Joe. I believe Joe Fox with Imperial Navy. I see a lot of what's it called? Oh, what are these? This is Italian Moose's specialized Imperial Navy. What is that thing in the center?
Right, the thing in the center is a Vengeance.
Okay. What particular brand of Imperial Navy is this?
This was fully an Obscurus fleet.
Oh, okay. So that's a Grand Cruiser. All right. Okay, a Vengeance Grand Cruiser. Wow. All right. And did you play against him, Hasan?
Unfortunately, I didn't.
Oh,
I would have loved to play on such a good-looking fleet. Damn.
Absolutely. It looks phenomenal. It looks wild. I love it.
He was a very close second for the painting award.
Yeah. Did you play against him, Mark, with the Rigger
Not
fleet?
in the event, but we did have a friendly game on the Friday.
And how did he manage this spectacular? Because I'm assuming that these cruisers, because it looks like some of them are definitely lights. Those are Endeavors. I think I see a Armageddon there, a Lunar there. What are these?
So we got 2 Lunars, 2 Endeavors, 2 Defiants, and a Dictator.
Okay.
And then 2 Groups of 3 Cobras.
All right. And how did he fight in that friendly game?
So he did squadron all of the cruisers together, all the carriers together, which is fair enough. And
okay.
then most of the other cruisers were squadroned how you would expect. He, for the most part, absolutely fine on the other side of the table. He did make one inherent mistake, which was he split his fleet up, pushing the carriers too far off to the side against a Tau fleet.
Yeah, okay. We all know how that's going to end up. Did he take the 6-up armored prow on the Defiance?
I cannot remember. I never shot him in the front.
Fair point. Okay. Important point to everyone who plays Imperial Navy. Do not isolate your fleet. Anyway, moving on to the next one. This is... I think this is Alexandra Austin? Ayla Austin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a beautiful Imperial Navy. That looks like an Apocalypse battleship. Nope, that's not an Apocalypse. Is that an Emperor?
That's an Emperor.
That's an Emperor battleship. A Vengeance Grand Cruiser. That's a Overlord, a Dictator, and a whole 2 Dauntlesses, a bunch of swords, and 2 Cobras.
The Grand Cruiser was an Avenger.
And I want to congratulate Alexander Austin for coming in 3rd with this fantastic fleet. That's an Avenger? Wait, you said that was an Avenger or a Vengeance?
As an Avenger.
Okay. I understand that Hasan won, but Alexandra wins in my book for bringing an Avenger. Having the absolute stones to bring an Avenger makes you the winner in my book. So if you ever see this,
I played Alex,
Okay.
and she got a locked-on volley at less than 15 centimeters at me.
and how did
with
that go?
I made a lot of saves, thankfully.
Ah,
But if my luck had been slightly worse, it would have just been a cruiser obliterated outright.
remember everybody, Avengers are actually pretty good. You just again need to know how to use them. But again, Alexandra won 3 out of her 5 battles. So and came in 3rd place overall. That's a beautiful Imperial fleet. How did she use her fleet?
Right.
Because this is a very kind of, it almost feels top heavy because there's the 2 Dauntlesses, 1 lunar, and then everything else is a grand battle cruiser or battleship.
Yeah, so from what I recall from our game, the sort of escorts were kind of strung out as almost like a skirmish line, like ahead of the main sort of cruisers, and they were sort of set up so turn 1 they could probably get within range and start harassing me with sort of torpedoes, some lances from some firestorms, and the batteries from the swords. The Dauntlesses were off to the side a little bit. They were being used to flank. That was sort of because they can have 6 lances between them, so that was a very sort of scary thing to think about. And I had to sort of consciously ignore them, but I knew that okay, there's 6 lances coming up my rear any minute, 6 lances coming up my rear any minute. The 2 cruisers, one was a lunar and one was the shooty Imperial Navy cruiser. I can't remember the name.
Overlord. That's the Overlord.
Yeah, that's the
Tyrant.
one. Tyrant. Yeah,
Oh, it's a
shooty
Tyrant.
regular cruiser, not the battle cruiser.
Oh, it's just that I can see what looks like turrets on there, so it's a Tyrant. Okay, so strength 10,
Yeah.
port and starboard. Did it have the range upgrade?
Yeah, I think it did.
Okay.
Yep.
Mark might be able to correct me, but I think it did. So they were sort of, they were pretty close to the Avenger and the Emperor, and they were sort of like a front line basically, because they were the ship that was closest to me, other than the escorts, and then the Grand Cruiser and the Emperor were sort of at the back, sort of a beam almost to my fleet to sort of take advantage of the long range batteries that they have in comparison to most other fleets.
And would you say that she had a good shot at actually beating you?
Yeah. She fought her fleet. That I think Alex was the toughest game that I had of the 5. She fought the fleet very well. I was sort of scared of the escorts, and then I was sort of scared of the, big Avenger weapons battery pointed at me. I was scared of the ordnance, scared of the Dauntlesses. It was I was part of it was luck, obviously, like I said about the Avenger getting lucky on my saves, but she was if I hadn't won, then I would have pegged Alex to be the winner.
Well, I do want to say this, Alex, if you do end up watching this, please come to the Discord server. I want to play against this list over Vassal. Anyway, moving on to the next one.
Before we move on, I will give 2 extra accolades to Alex and this fleet. The only fleet to actually kill the Chaos Hulk.
Now that is an accomplishment. Well done. Now at Adepticon, sorry, God.
Yeah, and it's also the single highest scoring round by a nearly 1,000-point margin.
Oof. Now I will say this: at Adepticon last year, we did have the ballsiest orc player ever who brought a orc Hulk with orbiting orc rocks, and he lost the orc Hulk every single round. So trust me, it is possible, but that is still, that is an accomplishment. All right, we're now on to another Chaos list. This is, I think, Richie's. He brought, I think I may be able to identify everything here, I hope. I see a Devastation. Okay, I take that back. I can barely identify any of these. I can identify the Repulsive. What is everything else?
So this was a pleasure fleet. So we have a repulsive with the Veil of Lust,
Okay.
a Acheron, 2 devastations, a murder, and 2 slaughters.
Okay. And did you fight him, Hasan?
No, I didn't, which is a shame because Richie's a good fella.
And
would have been fun.
yeah, Mark, did you fight against him?
I did, but any game that I have generally boiled down to, because being a Bifleet, I always want to make the game a bit more of a spectacle. So I brought Abaddon and his Planet Killer.
And how badly did Abaddon lose?
I mean, technically, he scored 0 victory points across the entire weekend.
Let's all give Abaddon a quiet clap for once again failing in his crusade. But during the battle, how would you describe how Richie used the fleet?
Generally pretty good. I feel like he heats some of his cruisers off to the side for a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, I did cripple his repulsive with my first shot.
Okay, Richie, some advice to you if you ever advice to you for using the pleasure fleet and the marks and the powers of Slaanesh. Put them on your slaughters or things that are faster than average. You need to get them in close, and the repulsive is the slowest thing you have. So, just a piece of advice for you in your next tournament. Okay, Adam, and look at that Hulk. That's chef's kiss. So, is this Adam Waring's Chaos? This guy came in second place. That's
with
a stick with a Hulk. That's an accomplishment, everybody. So I see 2 devastations and a Styx and then the Hulk. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is very correct. Me and Adam started playing this game together. We got each other into this, and after I played a lot of Chaos, he decided to have a big affinity for carriers. He loves his carrier fleets, and so he decided to take it one step further.
No kidding. That is basically as carrier as you can get without just filling the entire thing with a bunch of despoilers. And how did he use this Hulk beyond as a giant bludgeon against his targets?
More or less just as a giant bludgeon. So he did give it the Chaos Space Marine cruise just so those 8 assault boats would make everyone cry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he just spent a lot of time just spitting out a hell of a lot of Dreadclaws, slowly marching it across the board as best as he could, and shooting anything that foolishly came close enough.
Okay, and who did he lose against?
Ooh, give me 2 secs.
The reason why I'm asking is I want to know who was that against Alexandra, because she blew up the Hulk.
I'm pretty sure it was. I will still confirm. So,
wish I had a chance to fight this one.
I'm sure you can find an opportunity and play against him.
No, Adam actually won against Alex. He lost his very first game.
Against who?
Oh, wow.
Against Richard Knott.
The Space Marines beat him? Shameful.
Because the mission was picking up the salvage scattered across the table.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah. The one weakness, that Hasan, I hate to say this, but you won by a technicality, maybe. I would have loved. I mean, if it wasn't a pick up the salvage mission, it would have been a much harder fight. I wonder if there would. Okay, important question for you: would there be a runoff if 2 people won all their matches?
It would. The tiebreakers were victory points scored and then victory points surrendered.
So let's see. I'm looking at the actual victory points scored and victory points surrendered. Okay, yeah, Hasan, you would have won based on victory points, but still, I would have loved to see that fight. Okay.
Hasan wouldn't score as much because he wouldn't have that salvage.
Fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want to get super close to that thing.
Yeah.
And even just puts him in the middle of the board.
That's a toughie. All right, Tony and his chaos. This is the dead last player with Chaos. I see a repulsive Grand Cruiser. Looks like 2 Slaughters, 2 Devastations, and 2 Acherons. Interesting. Not a bad. Oh, and 3 Raiders. So, what landed this? Because this is a very well balanced fleet. What landed it soundly in the last place?
I'm gonna find the fleet again so I can remember. So it was only one Acheron. The other one's an Inferno.
Oh, well, then he gets what he deserves. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I-
love my Inferno.
I'm a terminal Inferno disrespecter.
Oh, you hate my buy fleet because it's a planet killer, a Styx, and 2 Infernos, and that's the list.
Look, I had to. It pained me to accept that the Inferno is a more viable choice in a tournament setting than a Carnage. But regardless, this is a very solid fleet. But I can see that it has decent synergy because you have your Acheron and your 2 devs. That's good synergy there. And then you have 2 Slaughters. That's decent synergy. And then you have your Repulsive as a hammer. Why do you think this lost?
He was a guy fully there just for the enjoyment of being there.
Oh, okay. So he was just there to have
Love
fun.
the game.
Well,
Yeah, he was fully there to have fun. I played him in round 3, and it was all about just doing the fun thing and seeing what happens. In that game, we had a drifting planet killer as I slungshot it around the planet, and I managed to actually ram one of his cruisers with the planet killer.
That's amazing. Oh, okay, Tony. Extra kudos to you for doing what the game is actually about, which is having fun. Absolutely. All right, now everybody, this is the tournament winnings. Now these are ships made by Deadly Caffeine. These are his Tau fleet, and Hasan is the winner of both the trophy and this beautiful fleet. It is 2 explorers, a single merchant, 2 heroes, 6 defenders, 6 orcas, and what was it, 2 messengers, I believe? One of them is not being shown here.
Yeah.
I need to get that one sorted out, so apologies for that. But there are meant to be 2 messages.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this as firmly as I can. I hope you enjoy this fleet. You're going to find it to be very different than Chaos.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Let me tell you, I mean, obviously you asked questions about how the hell do I use this thing in the server, but I want to help describe to you the best course of action, which is your fleet is the slowest interpretation of an Eldar attack approach that you can imagine. Everything needs to face the enemy. You have more launch capacity than anyone thinks is sane. Now,
Right.
what does a Chaos player have to do to get launch capacity 8? They have to take 2 devs, they have to take a despoiler, or any of the character ships, right? 2 devastations is 380 points, and the despoiler is, 400 points? Your explorers... Yeah, your explorers are 230 points for launch capacity 8.
That's something.
The ordnance phase belongs to you. It is your property. If anyone wants to try and take it, that's because you made a mistake. Okay? I want you to remember that your torpedoes are what your actual primary weapon system are, because your torpedoes can not only move between 20 and 40, they're variable movement, which is unique, but they can turn. All right? And critically, your torpedoes can move slower than your fighters, which makes these the only torpedoes in the game that you can escort in with your fighters.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because Barracudas move 25, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
And one of the most common things that I do when I play as my Tau, because I have a similar fleet, is I launch all fighters from my explorers and proceed to then fire all my torpedoes. And the sole purpose of those Barracudas is to move ahead of the torpedoes and clear out any attack craft on the table that is in my way. Now, Chaos and certain other fleets, especially Tyranids, can start to challenge you in the ordnance phase. But all you have to do is open up a big enough window for your torpedoes to go and smoke whatever you want them to kill. And once you start destroying the enemy carriers, you start winning the game very rapidly. Because when there's no longer a concern about incoming enemy ordnance, you can just launch blocks of 8 mantas.
Oh, yeah. Damn.
So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So rest assured, you have a very powerful fleet, and I want to guarantee something to you. The old school Tau have won many tournaments in the past. You do not have a weak fleet. You happen to have a very powerful fleet here. Make sure to keep that messenger as close as you can to your heroes, but also, if I remember correctly, those defenders have 45 centimeter weapons batteries as well. Let me double check.
No, they don't.
They don't. Defenders
are 30, but they firepower 3.
Right. Okay. My apologies. If you ever get a new style Tau fleet, the Castellans have 45, and you can use a messenger in there. But rest assured, keep that messenger close and protected by your big ships. But trust me, my dude, we will play many games. You will play many games with them, and you will be very pleased. And don't worry, they do bad things to Eldar too. Play the attrition game. So,
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Okay, the final part of this is, Mark, I want you to tell me about the actual scenarios. How many rounds were there? Looks like there were 5 rounds.
Yeah, so 5 rounds in this one. It's my first time doing a full weekend, which was terrifying in its own right. But for the scenarios, one thing that I like to do with all of my events is I like to have a narrative thread linking them all together. The narrative doesn't really affect how the games themselves are played, but it at least gives a reason why you're all there and you're all playing those specific missions. So the main hunt on this one was everyone essentially picked up a signal for a very ancient Halo device, and they were all trying to find it. So the first thing they had to do was mission 1 was going and picking up salvage markers. So 12 of them spread out across the table by the players, and they get to go pick them up for a sizable chunk of points. There, if you had them at the end of the game, there were 100 points each. So it's very focused on maneuvering around, because the vast majority of your points will be in those salvage, but you can still go over and board the enemy and steal it from them, so that you had a lot of interplay going on there.
All right. Okay, and
I was coughing up a lung.
Oh, that's okay. You don't need those. You're British.
It's teeth I don't need. I'm British. After everyone's gone and picked up the salvage to try and find any hints of this mysterious device, we then move on to mission 2, which is, in essence, capture the flag in space.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all about getting something over towards the opponent's half of the board, doing a little action close to their deployment zone, and then trying to get that ship back off your board edge. You got a good chunk of points for actually picking up the information, doing the scan initially, but if you then manage to get that data off your board edge, you've got significantly higher points. The most you got for the mission itself was 600 victory points.
This is just making me think that it would have been an amazing idea if I had brought Corsair Eldar to this engagement. Because
the Dark Eldar fleet was the only fleet to get off of the table with the data.
Yeah, I'm actually feeling like everybody here should have been kicking themselves for not taking more Dark Eldar or Necrons or Corsairs. Necrons would have gotten on off the board in the same round. But anyway, continue, please.
So then, to round off day 1, because let's face it, everyone is going to be thoroughly exhausted at this point, including me, wanted to keep the mission nice and simple. Nice and simple for last one, so it calls back to the very first mission that I ever wrote, which is essentially it's just Cruiser Clash Plus in essence.
Mm-hmm.
So each player gets to secretly pick an enemy ship to destroy that's not the flagship, and one of their own ships to try and protect that's also not the flagship. And you basically score victory points equal to the value of that ship if your kill target is dead, or at least off the table, and your protect target is still alive.
Okay.
So it's got a bit of tactical interplay, as obviously you want to pick certain things, but you don't necessarily want to advertise that's what you're going for, because then the enemy could mess with that. But it's still simple enough to give an interesting game to round out the day, because three games in one day is still a lot for Battlefleet Gothic, which is a very cerebral game.
Yes. So in contrast, for those who are watching, Adepticon does everything in a single day, and we have it is a 3-round battle. And the way that we organize it currently is you have the first battle is actually the mundane battle. It's sit down, shut up, and fight. And the second one is usually the objective, and the third one is the oddball. So we have weird things happening in that particular fight. So last year it was knockdown, drag out fight, which I fought against, ironically, a Tau player. And the Tau player quickly learned what happens when 6 dirges all ahead full go 90 centimeters and are suddenly behind his explorer. Pro tip, it was a bad time. The second one was a objective game, which I played against Tau again, and I decided that as a Necron player, I think I was actually going to table my enemy, which I did, which, again, Tau player and Necron is not a good combo. And the third one was just a gigantic planet. It was huge. A huge ringed planet that took up like almost half the board. And that was against Chaos, and I won against the Chaos player. So it is interesting to see the alternative, and the idea of a 5-round match does actually sound like a lot of fun. But anyway, that's all I have for you, Mark. But for Hasan, as the winner of the London Grand Tournament, what do you have to say to the other players that played in the London Grand Tournament? Do you have a message for them?
Thank you for all the sort of awesome games I had. I had 5 of the sort of best games of Gothic I ever played, and I hope I'll see them at sort of Mark's next events and the next LGT, and hopefully someone takes me down a peg next time.
And if they don't worry, I will.
Perfect.
So I do want you to.
You haven't fought me yet, so
exactly. Well, I'm sure Mark will teach me a lesson or two.
Well, good. And I will say that my wife has been yelling at me to let us go to Britain at some point, and she did try to sweeten the offer by letting me go play in the London Grand Tournament. So, I do have one. It would be wonderful, but I do have one important question for Mark. Do you have any restrictions? Is there anything that is in the core rulebook that is not allowed at the London Grand Tournament?
So the only thing that I generally don't allow is things that are set up or more geared towards campaign play. So it's like AdMech have their own special subplots that don't get used. Same with road traders and that. And I don't allow at the moment the evolutions of the hive mind, just because it's still very much a campaign rule.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't necessarily want to have within my own events. I know that a few people don't like that decision, but that's the stance I have taken on that. Outside of that, there isn't really anything I'm too worried about, if I'm honest. As long as it's legal fleet, it's all good.
Yeah. As somebody who is assisting and going to be hopefully running the Nova Open, my recommendation, obviously everybody is allowed to run the tournament the way they do, but I really try to push the idea of do not restrict things unless absolutely necessary. Now, Adepticon, and I agree with this, Adepticon is 100% in line with you. We don't allow campaign related elements. We don't allow the evolutions of the hive mind. The one thing that I can safely announce now is that what they did do is forbid some of the Inquisitor lords because they gave free points to certain players. And I have convinced, thankfully, the runner of Adepticon to no longer restrict that, but it also allows every player to take a 300-point sidebar in case something allows you to take more points, or you can swap something out. So something to consider.
I did have a ruling on the Inquisitors because I needed to for the event before London because 3 of them turned up.
It's always coming in threes, never one.
Is basically if the Inquisitor gave something to their opponent's fleet, it didn't give that.
Okay.
Looking through all the Inquisitors, they all cost a not unreasonable amount of points for benefits that are often very, very focused and only on one ship, apart from the Xenos one, which only has one bonus to other ships in the fleet. I was like, I'm not worried of you not giving your opponent free stuff because the benefit you're getting for the points isn't out of line or egregious.
So my opinion, this is strictly BFG philosophy, and we can of course argue about it all day and all night. But my viewpoint is the benefits that the opposing player gets as a result of taking an Ordo Xenos or the Ordo Malleus Inquisitor stacks heavily against the player taking the Inquisitor. So in the case of Ordo Malleus, you get free marks. You get free unrestricted marks, because normally you can only take a mark if you have a Chaos Lord or Chaos Space Marine crew. So, or you get free demon ships. That's a lot of free points. It only hurts the player that brings it. So I have no problem with it. If you're willing to take the handicap, on your own head be it. Now, it's the same with the Ordo Xenos. You're really good. You're really good in that boarding action. But they get a free escort squadron, potentially. You know what? If you're willing to take that sacrifice against yourself for the sake of bringing a interesting and characterful fleet, I say have at. It doesn't hurt anyone but the person who brings it. And so long as they recognize the consequences of their actions, let them. All right.
I do agree with that. My stance on that is that if you have those, that especially if they get given free ships, if you have those that either don't have access to them or are unable to bring them, it's almost like penalizing those that don't have just because they can't get all their benefit. Which is why I had the thing of you don't get anything free for the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor just buffs his own fleet.
I mean, ultimately, that is up to the runner of the tournament. That's why we at Adepticon are allowing the bringing of a 300-point sidebar. So if you do have a Xenos fleet and someone does bring an Ordo Xenos Inquisitor, you can potentially bring your squadron of escorts. So, that is a benefit that is written into the rules and is non-campaign related. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you both so much for coming on this interview. Thank you for running the London Grand Tournament, Mark, and congratulations to you, Hasan, for winning the London Grand Tournament, the first BFG tournament winner for the London Grand Tournament. Congratulations, man. And that is a beautiful fleet. I expect you to play with it a lot.
Yep, I got a game with it on Monday. So we'll see how that goes.
Definitely let me know how well it goes. Mark, do you have anything to say about would-be tournament runners out there?
The main thing is just go out there and do it. As there is never any harm of at least even putting it on for like a local club or a group of friends. Don't be afraid to steal/creatively borrow any ideas that you find anywhere else. All inspiration is good inspiration.
Yeah, and I agree with Ethan McKenney. A round of applause. Gentlemen, 3 cheers for you. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. Fantastic work. I hope one day you can make it out here to the States to come to Adepticon. Hopefully we can get Nova Open going, and we will actually make all 3 of these tournaments something that all other games can truly be envious of. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all again in